Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a movie review on the movie I'm thinking of ending things. This movie is a movie that basically starts out with a guy and his girlfriend. The guy is named Jake and his girlfriend Lucy. They are embarking on a trip to go and see Jake's parents. At first, we have the impression that this is just a regular couple, going to visit one of their parents, which is something couples do, right? But as the movie progresses, we begin to see that there's something quite abnormal about this couple. There's something quite unnatural about this couple. For one, the internal monologue of the girlfriend is of one who doesn't want to be there. She keeps re-echoing the title of the movie. I'm thinking of ending things. I'm thinking of ending things, and so we get the feeling that she doesn't want to be there, and then eventually we get the feeling that she's planning to break up with Jake. Another clue to the bizarreness of this situation is the fact that the girlfriend's name keeps changing. Her name and her profession keeps changing throughout the movie. It starts out with Lucy, she's a college student. Eventually, it just keeps changing. Her name changes to Louise at some point, and it changes to her profession changes from a poet, a college student studying literature, to even a physicist. I cannot remember because it's been a while I watched it, but these are one of the things that give us a clue that this is not a normal situation we are witnessing. As the journey and the movie progresses, pockets of strangeness pop up here and there, giving us this unsettling feeling. For one, the lady's name is Lucy, and then at some point, someone calls her on the phone. And when she checks the caller ID, it's the name on the phone, the person calling is Lucy. And when the boyfriend it's like, who is calling you? She's like, oh, it's like I think she said a friend or a co-worker. She doesn't want to pick the call. So all these things, so many things add up to this feeling of eeriness, this feeling of weirdness, of strangeness as the movie progresses. In addition to the disconcerting feeling that we have while watching this movie, there's also a jarring interplay between Jake's journey and an old janitor. We see Jake and his girlfriend on their journey, and every now and then there's a juxtaposition between their scenes and an old janitor going about his day. And it leaves us wondering, who is this old man? Is this man Jake's father? Who is this man to Jake? Who is this man in the scheme of things, right? Snippets of this old man's life as he cleans up after students in a high school. We see them making fun of him, but we do not hear him talk for the most part. He is mostly silent, and so this leaves you wondering who he is. I can't help but feel that Jake and this janitor are related, are connected in some way. But one particular scene that clues you into how connected they are is when Jake turns on the radio and there's a music playing on the radio, and it's a weird music. It's a weird kind of music. And the girlfriend is like, oh well, it's odd. And Jake is like, oh, it's not odd. Oh, it's Oklahoma. I'm just gonna read it because that part is a bit long. So he said it's Oklahoma and mentions that he knows a few musicals, then goes on to name a lot. Imagine someone saying, I know a few musical, and then naming like maybe 100. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but he goes on to name a lot of musical. He says that he knows Oklahoma because they do it every few years. And his girlfriend is like, wait, who does it every few years? And he's like, kids who were in past productions at the supermarket, working stores in town. They are older now. The conversation is a bit disjointed. The answer to the question his girlfriend is asking is a bit disjointed, and you do not really get. You're like, what is he really saying? Is he saying that he sees some of it, some students from school that he knew once, that what is he trying to say? You get the feeling that this is a disjointed answer. But the very important part is that when the scene cuts to the old man, he is watching the students in the school that he's a janitor for, the student that he cleans, the student in the school he works at, and they are performing the same music that is on Jake's radio. And this gives you a clue that what is happening gives you a clue that, okay, something is going on here, right? conversations move from one thing to the other. In fact, they have a very rich conversation. Okay, it moves from one topic to the other effortlessly. And then Jake mentions something that comes in very handy later when you muse upon the movie. He says he loves road trip because it gives you an opportunity to get out of your head. It gives you an opportunity to see that the world is bigger than your head, that it's bigger than your mind, right? And this comes in handy when you muse upon the movie later. Jake's statement gets his girlfriend Lucy pondering on the last time she went on a road trip. And the strange thing is that she cannot remember. If I were to ask you when was the last time you went on a road trip, you would remember. Even if you hadn't gone on a road trip in a recent past, you'd be able to estimate the last time you went on a road trip. But Lucy cannot remember anything. She cannot remember many things. And this gives us a clue that something is not quite right. As I've said before, their conversations are very rich, are very deep and meaningful, and you get the sense that you do not want to miss any part of this conversation, as it might give you a clue into who these people are. They talk about trains and how they're like time, and how when you get on it, you're on it, and it just takes you to where it takes you to. There are no detours. They talk about movies and how we use them to pass the time. Just such rich conversations. They eventually arrive at Jake's parents' house, and more strangeness occurs. There's even more strangeness in this location. For one, Jake takes his girlfriend into their barn or so, and there are dead lambs there. They have this very strange and dark and sad conversation. They have this very strange dark conversation, and then they go into the house, and then there's a dog that appears and disappears. It's not like too on the nose, but one minute the dog is here and the next is not here, and then it's movement. You just know that there's something quite weird about this dog. And then the parents also are quite weird, okay? And so eventually, with the seams that hold this world together starts to unravel, and we see this world for what it is, a quickly unraveling world. I don't know if that is like too wordy or not quite the right word, but it is a quickly unraveling world. And we see this when Jake's parents starts to degenerate, in a way, start to grow old. Imagine you just visiting someone and they are like in their 50s, and before you know it, they are 80. So there's a kind of the time is weird in this location. And Lucy is persistent in wanting to go. Immediately she arrives, she feels that there's something off about this place, and she wants to leave. So we watch Jake take care of his old parents, and who were, a few moments ago able-bodied, but now need assistance with eating and other things. So at this point in the movie, you know that this world is, it's kind of surreal, okay? And eventually Jake and Lucy get back into the car and head back to the city. On the way there, they also have conversations, talk, and then Jake decides to stop by his former high school. And this is where the movie comes full circle, because Jake all this while has been in the car with Lucy, or with at his parents' place, but now we are seeing him at the location where this old man is supposed to be. And it is at this point where we realize that this old man is actually Jake. And all that we have been seeing is the flashback of a man who is dying. This old man, the janitor, he died of, I think, exposure to cold or something. I'm not really sure why he died, but I think maybe exposure to cold. He is dying and he's having flashbacks, but they are not quite flashbacks, because this is a man that has hidden himself. Because through the conversation we learn that he has kind of hidden himself from life. He has coped with life by having maladaptive daydreams. So Lucy is a creation. In many ways, Lucy is an amalgamation of all the women he might have wanted to date in his youth. And so this is quite a sad movie, especially for people like me who are maladaptive daydreamers. And so it really gave me a lot to think on. It really gave me a lot to chew on. Okay. And so it is quite a sad scene. And the thing that makes me even the thing that is even more saddening is the fact that even this daydream woman, even this so-called perfect woman that he thought he brought into existence, doesn't want to be with him. Even in her thoughts, she doesn't want to be with him. So it gives you an idea about the kind of man that we are seeing. It gives you an idea about who Jake was as a person. I found it really sad. So his flashbacks are not quite flashbacks. There's not much to flash back on, because most of the time he had spent it dreaming up the perfect woman. Most of the time he had spent it, daydreaming, and so there's not much to flash back on. And what I think is really sad is that this was from his conversations with his subconscious mind, who was Lucy, right? You can tell that this is a man that is very knowledgeable in a lot of topics, and if he had just maybe put himself out there more, instead of making up words in his head. There's nothing wrong with making up words in your head, but you shouldn't live there. You shouldn't live there all the time. That is why that scene where he talked about the road trip is very important when you look back on the movie. When you see the full picture of the movie. If he had spent more time outside his head, or at least maybe a good portion of the time outside his head than inside his head, I feel like this is a man that had so much to offer people. This is a man that he is quite a great conversational. He would have made a great conversationalist because he was so adept at many topics. And at this point, I just wanted to add that I know it's easier said than done, because I have issues with bonding with people. I have issues with feeling connected with people. And so I think it's easier said than done. But I think the fact that Lucy, his own creation, didn't even want to be with him, tells us so much about this man. And this is where it needs to be said that mindset is very important. Because some of us might try the best we can, and we never quite make it romantically. We never quite make it in our social world. And so our mindset, our thoughts about this particular thing matters a lot, because I feel like from the movie I get that he is a bit beaten down by life. He is a bit beaten down by being, the social pariah in a way. He's a bit beaten down by being the odd kid. He retained that person would have been the odd child for a long time throughout his life. I feel like even though it's really heartbreaking that he might have been bullied, because as a child, right, he might have been bullied, but I feel like he should have tried. So this is just I'm also talking to myself. This is just an encouragement. What's the worst that could happen, if you get out of your head sometimes? People are out there that are looking to share in this rich world in your mind, and you will never know if you do not try. So I just want to encourage all people out there who are maladaptive daydreamers to try and live as outside their mind, as they do inside. Try to put yourself out there. Try to share this amazing world that you have in your mind with people. It might not always work out, but you might be lucky and you come across your own people. So thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.